What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to the Comet ML office hours powered by the Artists of Data Science. Super excited to have all of you guys here. It is Sunday, May 9th. Happy Mother's Day to everybody in the audience. I don't think anybody in this room is a mother, but you might have mothers in your lives. So I want to wish everybody happy Mother's Day. It was my son's first birthday yesterday, so that was a fun experience. We did a drive-by birthday party because of COVID restrictions. People can't really come over and party, and we can't really host an event. So we just had people drive up and passed out goodie bags and traded those up for some uh, gifts, I guess. But it was a good time. So shout out to my son. Happy birthday. All right, guys. Welcome to the office hours. How's it going? We got Kevin Martin Tor in the room. Guys, how's it going?
Yeah, it's another day.
Yeah, right on. Well, if you guys got any questions at all, go ahead, let me know. Go ahead and go for it. Kevin, how's it going, man?
Yep.
So are you still not part of Data Science Dream Job? Did you try to log in there?
Nope. No, I haven't tried to log in because I was told I was disconnected when I couldn't pay anymore. I've been unemployed since April of 2020. So
Yeah.
I have not been able to get a job anywhere on it. It's been crazy. So, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I took the Google Analytics course. I've continued to try to learn everything I can.
Mhm.
So
How'd you find that Google Analytics course?
I don't remember. It's probably in all, no, I mean, because I follow a lot of people on Facebook and stuff that are in data science, like you and Kyle and Super Data Science Club and a bunch of stuff. So I'm sure it came up one place. The only thing I haven't done my capstone project. Shame, shame,
Mhm.
shame.
Yeah. So what type of roles are you out there looking for?
I'd like to be a data manager. And the reason is I have enough technical knowledge and understanding of all the technology involved. I was a DBA for 8 years, so I understand databases. I understand the data and modeling and all that kind of stuff. So I understand enough. And then I've been a project manager, scrum master for 25 years. I'm used to
Mhm.
building teams. I build up teams really well. I feel I'd be a great team lead for data science, except they don't want people that can just lead teams. They want people that can do all the hands-on stuff, and that's not me. So,
Yeah, I mean, data management, data governance, all that stuff is super, super important part of the process. That's like the entire data strategy kind of stuff is very important, and we need people who know how to do that because data scientists can't really do their work without having good data, right?
yep.
So that's one thing I've been really working on at my current job over the last month or so is data management type of stuff. So it begins with just interviewing a bunch of people internally, finding out what they want and what they need, and trying to deliver on that. But what's your job search process currently like? Like, where are you targeting? How are you targeting jobs? Where are you mostly looking?
My resume is on Dice, Monster, and LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And I have been both just applying for jobs posted on LinkedIn, or somebody has posted an announcement for a job and pinged them and talked to them. And I've tried everything and anything. I now have like 5 resumes to
Hmm.
try to make sure that they're targeted to the jobs and stuff like that. So,
What's your search process like on LinkedIn? Are you doing like keyword searches? Is it just a
yeah.
so I guess let me try to reframe what the question or what the issue might be. Is it a like a are you able to find jobs that you feel are interesting to you
Yep.
that you want to go for,
Yep.
but they're not converting into like interviews and opportunities and things like
No.
that? Yeah.
No.
So explain what your process is like. So you're messaging people on LinkedIn, sending out
Yep.
the resume,
Yep.
and
Applying for jobs. I'm doing going through the application process. If it's a job I really like, and then I'll go ahead and ping or in-mail the person that posted the job to give them a little bit more about me or stuff like that. So,
mhm.
but
And how's the response rate on that?
0.
Yeah. What are you saying in your message? Have you tried testing different messages and seeing
No,
what?
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. So I mean, like the biggest thing I could say is definitely continue to reach out to people, but make sure you're targeting the right people on LinkedIn to reach out to. So the
Yeah.
person who posted the job, that's usually a good person to reach out to, but also going into like the LinkedIn's the company's kind of LinkedIn page
Yep.
and then filtering that down by like recruiter, technical recruiter, and even um, like manager or higher up people in the data food chain, I guess.
Okay.
And just because in-mail credits are, you can burn through them rather quickly. So you want to make sure that whoever it is that you're
Yeah.
targeting is actually somebody who's active on LinkedIn quite regularly. So when you go to here, I'll pull it up real quick just to show you guys. So if anybody is actually listening to this on the podcast, I'm going to YouTube right now. I mean, not YouTube. I'm going to LinkedIn right now. So go to YouTube to see what it is that I'm doing. But let's just say, for example, here, let's go look at jobs here. Um, let's make this a real case study. Where are you looking for jobs at?
Uh, Charlotte, Washington, D.C. are really my two, or
Okay.
Florida. Those three opportunities. So,
Yeah, I'll put Washington D.C. in the search
yep.
just because. And you can search by title, skill, keyword, so on and so forth, right? So
Yeah.
something you might want to do is data
Yeah.
management, right?
I use data, period. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Make it, as targeted as possible, right? So data
Okay.
management, or even data governance is another way we could put that here, right?
Cool.
And here, let's see what happens here. So what I'm going to show you here is how I would go about applying for a job, right?
Okay.
So here I see enterprise data, policy governance, senior associate. All right, cool. Let's say that I am interested in this job. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm reading the description. It looks awesome. Cool. Uh, does it have a job poster? In this case, does not look like it. So I'll go to the company website. In this case, Fannie Mae, which I think is a huge
It is.
credit type of place, who I owe a lot of student loans to. Um,
Yeah. No kidding.
but you go to people, right?
Okay.
And you can search by title, keywords, so on and so
Ah.
forth, right? So I would go technical recruiter,
Okay.
just because those are the type of recruiters that would tend to hire for data type of roles. And then when you go to technical recruiter, you'll see that, they'll probably have a bunch of people pile up. Obviously, you want to target people who are in the location where you're applying for, right?
Okay.
And a bunch of people come up, right? So how do I know who to target, right? I've got like 5 in-mail credits and I want to maximize the probability of my message actually getting returned and maximize the probability that that message is going to result in a phone call at least, right? So I'd go through each person kind of one by one, and I'd go directly to the page here and I'd look at their LinkedIn activity, right? And this is kind of like a lightweight version of stalking on people, but it's all good. Um, I don't know why my internet is so slow, but you go to their profile,
Right.
and then typically, like one of the first few boxes up here is right under the about section is going to be activity. And if somebody, you could see how often they've posted, how often they've liked or shared or done something on LinkedIn, right? So in this case, this guy has his activity here, and we could see when he was last liking and posting stuff, right? Because if it
Okay.
was within the last day or two, then that's probably a good person, like a warm lead, so to speak, that you can
Okay.
reach out to, right? So this guy's
Cool.
about a week ago. Okay, well, to me, I'd look for somebody who's more active
Okay.
within a day or so, right? And
Okay.
so yeah, this guy doesn't really look active. I wouldn't waste an email credit on him, and just make sure that you're tailoring
Okay.
the
Cool.
resume itself. I don't think. I mean, you give me enough advice on what to do with a resume. I think it'll all cancel out to zero eventually. But I am lazy, so I just have one resume, right? And I just have one resume
Yeah.
that apply for all jobs. But I'll tailor my message that I reach out to with more
Okay.
custom tailored, I guess is what I'm trying to
All
say.
right. Thanks. No, that'll help. It's something I
Yeah,
haven't done before, so I appreciate it. And
yeah,
now you can let Martin or Tor or Jill's bug you know.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I know a lot of people are gaining value from this as well, even the ones listening on the podcast. But just to finish my thought on that real quick, there's another website called hunter.io where you can um, essentially get the email pattern for a given company to see what their email standard is like and try to reach out to people inside the company directly to their email. I wouldn't reach out to like a data scientist or a hiring manager. That way I'd reach out to recruiters because that's their job um, to do that. So definitely do that. And then there's a few email lists that you can get on. I've got this email list that I'm on that gets, I get a bunch of messages every day about openings. See if I could find one real quick just to give you the name of that company. But there's like listservs and stuff that you can get on.
Okay.
In this
Good.
case, this company is called eSolutions Inc. That's one
Oh,
of them. Yeah,
yeah.
eSolutions.
They're a big company, and I don't care for eSolutions that much because most of the times they're recruiting for another company,
Oh, okay, yeah,
and
third
they're
party.
always discounting the rates because they're third party. So
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, man. So hopefully that's helpful. Like, just make sure that the reach
okay,
out message is clean. Like, I've got a standard kind of template that I will manipulate. Um, but the entire thing I'm doing with my message when I reach out to somebody is just telling them what I could do for them, not just telling them how awesome I am, but like talking about how my awesomeness is going to benefit them. So
yeah.
that's a subtle shift, but yeah, thanks for the question. We'll continue to move on. Feel free to hop on with any other questions at any other point if you'd like. Cool. So let's go to either. I'll put you on mute here, Kevin, just
I
to
can.
minimize background noise there. Yeah, man. Let's go to Martin. Martin is a new face. I don't think I've seen Martin before. Tor, my good friend Tor, is he's definitely a new face. He's been around. Martin, how's it going?
I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. If you got any
Yeah.
questions or anything, let me know.
Um, my question is how to keep on learning. What is the next step for me? So I started to learn Python 2 or 3 years ago, and then I come to data science. I did a lot with data and learned, did a huge pandas course.
Mhm.
And actually, I think it's time to enter the machine learning thing.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure how to start there in this field.
Yeah, I'd start by doing like mini projects as much as possible just to start developing the skill set, developing an understanding of the workflow, so on and so forth. So just kind of backtrack here a little bit. So give me a little better sense of your background here. You're currently you've been studying Python for 3 years. Like, do you have like a data background, stats background, math background, anything like that?
Well, actually a civil engineer, and
Okay.
I'm working with long-term traffic models since 15 years or so.
Okay.
So there are some data which I use all the time, but not very in a statistical way, just applying some
Yeah.
functions or changing some data to get an prediction.
Yeah. So now when you say you want to get into machine learning, is it like you've never studied it before? You just kind of want to get your feet wet with it to learn and understand some of the common algorithms and what this thing is all about?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Okay. So I'm a big fan of books. My favorite book is this thing's called Hands-on Machine Learning with Python or Scikit-learn. Sorry, Hands-on Machine Learning with Scikit-learn and TensorFlow. That's a good one. And just this introduction to machine learning. Those are good texts. I'll pull them up in a second here. But once you go through one of those texts, I would say the next thing is try to find the intersection of civil engineering and machine learning. So as you were speaking, I pulled up real quickly just a quick Google search, civil engineering, machine learning. And it looks like there's, machine learning techniques for civil engineering, a primer on machine learning applications in civil engineering. So you want to study machine learning and civil engineering, right? So I would try to find the intersection between machine learning, civil engineering, because you've got extensive experience in civil engineering, and now you're trying to blend that with machine learning. It just makes for an easier learning experience, in my opinion, more enriched learning experience. So I can give you a link to this. Most of these type of papers will kind of walk you through a general overview and process of what machine learning is all about. So I'll link to this as well. But the two books I was talking about in particular, there was Introduction to Machine Learning with Python, right? And it's this one right here. It's the O'Reilly text. The O'Reilly text here. But if you prefer online courses, so yeah, I guess I should ask, what type of manner do you like to consume your educational content? Are you more of a books guy or more of a
Yes, I like online courses, but often they are not going deep enough for me, I think.
Yeah.
I started one machine learning course, but it was only shown how it is applied in Python. So just but not what is going on behind all this code.
So yeah, okay. So those two books they'll give you mostly just a familiarity with the scikit-learn API, but they probably won't go as in depth in the math as it seems like you want to go. So for that, I would there's a free book actually that is available. I think it's called oh man, I'll get you the link for it. If you go to my LinkedIn page, I must have shared it recently, but it was like
Okay.
Bitly it was Bitly, I think it was like mathematics of something like that. What did I make the that might not be it. But I can give you the link in a second here. I'll remember what it is, but it's a book that goes really in depth. So you know what? Let me just try to find it real quick for you. But that's what my approach would be. I'll pause here to see if there's any questions from you or any comments while I try to stall to dig this link up for you. But please go for it, Martin. If you got any follow-up questions or comments, let me know.
Yeah, I heard some from Kirill, I guess.
Yeah.
And I heard he said that it is better to start projects than to learn just by courses.
Yeah, projects are definitely the way to go, right? So so once you've built like that foundation knowledge, like you definitely start doing actual projects. But the projects I would recommend you do are ones that are rooted with civil engineering. So there's that intersection of civil engineering and machine learning, just because it'll make it so much more enjoyable. You might even find opportunities for you to employ it in your current job. But projects are 100% like the best way to learn. But I mean, you have to at some point start from a bit of source material, right? All right, so I found the link here. It's mathematics for machine learning. It goes super in depth. So just a warning. Let me get you the link here. I'll pull it up real quick for you as well. Sorry for everybody listening on the podcast. I'm stalling here for a second, but yeah, this book is called Mathematics for Machine Learning, and it goes super in depth with all the behind the scenes math and stuff. If that's what you're interested in, I know some people like to.
Okay.
It's not satisfying enough just to see what the API does. It's good to see what's going behind the scenes. So this book is really good for that. So when models meets data and a few other things, and I can give you a few other links. But absolutely, like by all means, do projects. You must do projects to really solidify your understanding. And when you do projects, you post them on like GitHub, right? And you can share them as proof of work, put them on your resume when you start looking for jobs, right? So these are all added benefits of doing projects. Let me know if that was helpful or not, or if I was just being too vague.
Yes.
I'm happy to go more in depth.
Thank you.
And then let me give you a link to this paper that's doing machine learning techniques for civil engineering problems. I think that would be really helpful, again, just because you're already so knowledgeable about civil engineering, that seeing how this new thing applies in your domain would make that learning curve a little bit easier. And then here's another book as well, Machine Learning in Action. And I'll give you that link here. Awesome. Cool. Well, Martin, let me know if there's any other questions as we progress. I'm happy to take them. Let's continue going. We got Auntie in the house. Auntie, how's it going, man? Renata is also here. Good to see you, Renata. Any questions from anyone? Jill, I see Jill here as well.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Helps me a lot. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's open the floor for whoever else would like to go for it. So Jill, Renata, Auntie. No questions from Jill. Awesome. Tor, how's it going? You got any questions or comments?
No questions. Just a small comment. I was just looking at that book you just listed, and I got to page 6, 7, and 8. Holy clap! It's all Greek to me.
It's literally all Greek. Yeah, that first link, that mathematics for machine learning, that is definitely for people who want to know like what the hell is going on under the hood. Which sounded like Martin wanted that type of reference, but the other one I gave him, I think, is a little more lightweight. Not lightweight.
You have to be into math and really understand the formulas, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, math is definitely an important part of data science, machine learning for sure.
My Excel skills isn't really covering up to that level, so I have a way to go yet. That's going to be my biggest challenge. It's like one thing, like Kevin mentioned, like understanding the principles, and that I'm starting to get now. But to go from that and then actually being able to utilize those math skills, that means I would have to kind of go back and learn my math all over again. It's been a few years.
Yeah, I mean, but that ground up approach, like it might work for some people, might not work for some people, but I mean,
it won't work for me. I'm a hands-on, so get my Python up and running. And that's the first step, and then trial and error till you kind of get the basics, and that's how I approach things personally. So.
Yeah, no, I like that approach. Hands-on is, you always learn better by doing on the job type of thing. So
exactly.
Awesome. Let's see if we got any questions. We got Auntie or Renata. No questions from Auntie. Just been grinding, studying on evenings and weekends, and gradually also using data science at work. Little clustering project at the moment. Yeah. So as much as you can, try to find opportunities to use data science methodology in your current role. I'd highly recommend that. When I was trying to learn Python, it's like 4 years ago. So at that time, I was a biostatistician. I was working as a essentially clinical trial statistician at a pharmaceutical company. All of our work was done in SAS, SAS, because that's what we would have to submit code along with the data to the federal government, to the FDA. And I wanted to learn how to use Python. So what did I do? I recreated everything that I did in SAS in Python because I had like a basis of comparison, right? Like I knew that my SAS code did this and manipulated data this way and had this particular output. Cool. Now let me see if I can do that in Python. And I did that and just gradually started just building the skills that way. And it was um, it was a bit of a learning curve. Took me, 2-3 months to get decent at it. I'm still not like I'm not a software engineer by any means, but I can get stuff done. Get a lot of stuff done. But that's one good way to learn is just find opportunities in your current role to leverage and use this stuff. All right. So let's see. Renata or anybody else got questions? Go for it. Jill is heading out. All right. So what else is going on, guys? We got some time here, man. I'm happy to chat about anything, not even related to data science, to be completely honest. Data science is cool and all, but it's not like the only thing I like talking about. So if you guys, any questions on anything at all,
you want to help me? You want to help me write my dissertation?
What's your dissertation about?
Mobile social media marketing for small businesses in Charlotte.
That's pretty interesting. Tell me more about that. Mobile social media marketing.
Yeah. First of all, web advertising has only been around since '94. So it's an pretty early thing. And mobile's only really been around since around 2017. The mobile searches on Google have increased over desktop searches. So 4 years, mobiles have been kind of king on search. But the problem is that most small businesses, at least that's my opinion, I'll find out when I can actually do the research, is they don't know how to do it. They're not equipped to do it or trained to do it. And even though they may want to do it for their business. So I found somebody who all he did was put this business on Google Maps. Happens to be in Texas, but it's still a thing. And according to him, their income increased threefold by only going on to Google Maps, only for a small business. So that's the type of stuff, is to see, if a small business takes the steps to go ahead and go on Google Maps or advertise on Facebook or Instagram. I know there's millions of places they can advertise, but I'm trying to limit it so I can get my dissertation done. What's out there? What can they do? And try to increase their sales or their customer base, or, one is just how are you, like, I'll give you an example. We went out to a restaurant and the food was and the service stunk. And I put a nasty Yelp comment on for that restaurant. Has that restaurant bothered to even contact me or respond? Nope. So they've got this really bad review sitting out there and they haven't bothered to respond, which I don't think is proper. I think they should have at least responded to it. So anyway.
Yeah. Mobile marketing is definitely interesting. Like marketing in general is just super interesting. I find it to be fascinating. Yeah. Not just like the advertising part of it, like doing analytics on the ad spend and stuff like that. That's interesting, but just marketing, as a field, I find really, really interesting. I'm a huge fan of Seth Godin. He's written a few books on marketing. This is Marketing. All marketers are liars, to name a couple. But he's awesome. Read Ryan Holiday's book called Perennial Seller, which is all about marketing as well. So pretty interesting stuff.
So anyway, that's what I'm doing. That's taking up a lot of my time, as well as trying to look for a job, trying to write dissertations. So.
Yeah, man, it's hard trying to look for a job, man. I mean, I could identify with that struggle. I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like people in interviews, they don't ask good questions, right? Like I've been on tons of interviews, right? Like I've been on tons of interviews, and people just the interviewers just asking stupid questions. I had somebody ask me how many models I've built, or how many models have I trained, and I didn't know if this was a trick question, because if you include models trained during cross-validation, probably millions. But I mean, I don't like, what's the point of asking me that question? Like that's really not 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 a very useful question, but also questions like I had somebody ask, like, fairly recently, the interview question was um something along the lines of, data science can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What type of data scientist are you? And it was a vague question looking for a specific answer, because this position is not a position where you'd be deploying machine learning models into production. You'd be doing a lot of statistics and analysis and that type of respect. So what he's trying to discern is, are you the type of data scientist that just wants to deploy models into production, or do you prefer doing statistical and probabilistic inference and stuff like that? Which he did not mention about in the interview, that this is what the job was going to be, until way later. Then just kind of clicked to me like, oh, okay, well, you're just asking a really weird question. Why not just clearly state at the forefront of the interview that this is what the job will entail? Is this the type of work that you enjoy doing as a data scientist, right? So vague questions like that are really, really stupid. I get a shit ton of bad questions. Martin, go for it.
How important do you think is it to have a knowledge about the field in that you are doing data science in? Can do in a civil engineering or
very important. I'd say that's really, really important. Understanding domain knowledge, gives you more context, makes you more knowledgeable and understanding what the implications of what this model is that you're building, what it does, right? If you can understand the context in which it'll be used. So domain knowledge is important. Is it like a barrier to getting a job? Probably not, unless you're going super specialized, right? If you're going for like, I don't know, computer vision or self-driving cars type of machine learning stuff, then you better really, really understand that domain, because I think it'd be hard to break into that as like the first job. But if you're doing like product analytics and stuff like that, it's domain knowledge.
So I live in an area where a lot of pharma companies are located, and they are looking for data science very often. But I don't think that is my field.
Yeah, so they're probably rebranding biostatisticians as data scientists or something like that. I'm not sure, but feel like that you'd have to learn a lot of regulatory rules, especially pharmaceuticals. When I was in pharmaceuticals, there's so much like regulatory stuff that I needed to know, mostly with respect to the work that I'd be authoring, like protocol sections, statistical sections of protocols, or statistical analysis plans, or things like that. It's helpful. But I mean, like, why not just apply for it, see what happens, right? So there's never any harm with that.
Do you know any data science project in the field of mobility?
Elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by mobility.
What?
Like just like people moving around, mobility, or like what type of mobility?
No, the new mobility, like how to predict traffic or
Okay.
how to give people information about if there is any trouble ahead when they are driving in the car or public transport thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could. First thing I would do is just start researching the domain, right? Because I mean, I get a lot of knowledge from just reading white papers and research papers, because you go to the reference section and there's some great references that kind of help you, build a chain of good resources. But just start Googling. That's the easiest thing, right? So we're talking about here, like, I don't know, traffic prediction, right? So if we do traffic prediction and machine learning, and let's just see if somebody's actually done this in a Jupyter notebook, and see what comes up, right? So in this case, I'm doing traffic prediction, machine learning, Jupyter Notebook, and we got traffic sign detection for TensorFlow. That's probably not what you're talking about. Yeah, so let's remove this file type part, or even we could look for white papers. So yeah, just start looking for research papers and see what happens, right? So we got deep learning on traffic prediction. All right, cool. Comparison of machine learning methods for the or traffic prediction architecture based on machine learning, traffic flow prediction with big data, machine learning approaches for traffic flow forecasting. All right, cool. So there you go, man. Looks like there's a ton of research in that area. I would just dig into it by getting one of the papers that seems most approachable, kind of read through it, understand it, and then dig in a little bit deeper. So for example, this one that we're looking at, a PDF just opened up because I accidentally downloaded a PDF, I guess. Don't know where it went. Here it is. And it's a comparison of machine learning methods for the prediction of traffic speeds in urban places. So let me just go ahead and pull this up here. Right. And most white papers will have, I don't know where I don't know where my screen went. All right. Sorry about this. So I'm pulling up the PDF here just to show you how I would go through it. So you got a bunch of people here, right? So I would, if I anytime I'm trying to learn how to figure out how to do something new, I go to a research paper, I take note of all these people, and I'll add them on LinkedIn just to see if they're active on LinkedIn or see if they have like a university profile. Because maybe I want to connect with them and ask them questions, and like, hey, your paper is interesting. Here's what I have a question on. Right? That's completely okay. But most white papers have the reference section, which is probably the best section. And I mean, this is really thorough. It looks like this is a really shows you the architecture and everything, which is really cool. But what we're looking for is a references section as well, right? Because you might find more interesting papers that are more specific to what it is that you're looking for. Another thing you could do is, let's say you've pulled up like 2 or 3 or 4 white papers in the domain. Just print out the reference sheet from all these, or the references from all these white papers, and see what's common amongst those. And that's a good indication that, okay, that's probably a source of truth that I should look into.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
But that would be my approach to that.
Okay.
So question here from Auntie. You ask your guests on the podcast where they see data science going in the next 2 to 5 years. What's my take on it? Flipping the script on me here, huh? So where do I think data science is going in the next 2 to 5 years? Definitely don't think it's going like away. That's for sure. It's here to stay. And I think, next 2 to 5 years, I don't see anything like really, really earth shattering happening. We might make progress on some interesting things like self-driving cars and things like that. But let me just stick to the profession of data science as itself. I just see it becoming, more and more discrete kind of roles, right? I feel like it'll move more towards specialization, operationalization as well. So Vin talks about this a lot, and I agree with his perspective on this. You'll see more ML ops, AI ops type of roles pop up, more architecture type of roles pop up. That is for sure. But I think even beyond 5 years, I think every job is going to become a little bit of data science, right? At some level, for many professions, especially professions that do a lot of computation, that do a lot of data manipulation, work with a lot of data, you'll see them doing more and more data science type of stuff, more and more analytics. It might come to, there might be a day where accountants start using Python scripts in their Excel formats, in their Excel files, which is possible, right? Because you can integrate Python into Excel. So I see that trend happening more. I think people are they're just going to be more and more data scientists at work doing data science type of work, but maybe don't have the data science title, if that makes sense. Tor, go for it.
Yeah, no, it's a good comment that you have. I don't disagree with you on that, and I also think that I think the biggest challenge right now for how should I say streamlining data science into more jobs is the tools. I mean, Python and R and all these tools. It's not something you just get into and do. You have to sit down, learn, and then you have to use it on a regular basis. Now, Excel has had extreme success because it's a tool that everybody uses, starting out with 2 plus 2 equals 4, and then kind of build gradually. Personally, I think that like when you want to integrate Python, etc., I think it will be an indirect arrangement where basically you will still kind of use the Excel, but you will then have more standards that are going to be running scripts for you, like macros, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, doing data analysis. Right now, I'm preparing for an audit. I'm going to be starting in 1.5 weeks. And I'm looking now at 850,000 transaction lines. The original data I received had 63 columns. Now I'm up to about 140 because I have to add all the extra columns to extract, streamline, adjust the data. Now, that part is the part that the Python could have done something about or R could have done for me. But as I can't program it myself, then it's just going to have to wait. So I'm still doing it manually. But data science is definitely here. We're living on data. We have to analyze data. That's going to be in our everyday for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. It's not like there's going to be any decrease or slowdown to the amount of data being generated around the world. We got more and more devices that collect data that companies are hopefully using ethically. That's something I would like to see happen in the next 2 to 5 years. Is maybe more courses on ethics in data science, right? Like how to be a data scientist who doesn't cause harm, or just some awareness in ethics. I think would be very, very useful. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question there, Auntie. I'm happy to elaborate on that. But yeah, to Tor's point, you'll start people are going to have to start doing things involving coding because it's going to make their job easier, right? They might come across something at work where it's like, oh my god, I spent so much time doing this. I wonder if I can write something, a script or something that can make my life a little bit easier.
That's the low code, no code development, citizen development. I don't know if you've heard about it, but the first time I heard about it, it says it's been around for like 5 to 7 years, but or 15. But I've just heard about it where it allows people with no programming background to do that exact same thing. I see something that's too difficult. I want to make it easy, so they can go on a low code, no code platform, and they can develop the application they need to do their job better. It's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of low code, no code platforms. I think that's great. It makes it easier for people to do stuff. But once you start getting into the edge cases, like these companies that are backdoor way out, is that if you get to weird edge cases, eventually you have to go under the hood and code, and it's usually Python code that you're gonna have to write yourself. So that's kind of like their way around it. Like you still, even if you're using low code, no code environment, like it's not nobody's taking your data science jobs if they're doing low code, no code data science. It's just a different type of person working on different types of problems. But eventually, even that person will have to learn how to code because something they're trying with their low code, no code environment is bugging out, not working. What do they have to do? Write code. Auntie says this happens to him constantly since learning R for just over a year, sees things that he used to spend so much time doing. Now they do so much faster. Yeah. I mean, even like try to find ways to make your life easier somehow, right? Like I had like an epiphany earlier this week, and it was the stupidest epiphany. Like I've been using computers for a very, very long time, right? Like I've been using computers since I was I don't know, like 12, 13 maybe. 38 soon. So I've been using them for quite some time. Uh, but I never bothered to learn like shortcuts for just the operating system and stuff like that. Um, and I just recently made the transition to using a Mac just like 2 years ago, and never really properly learned the shortcuts for the Mac OS. And I was spending time like, here's my setup, right? I've got a keyboard and I got a trackpad, right? And then it's my laptop right here on a stand. But I'll be typing and I need to do something. And I'd spend a lot of time moving my hand over to the trackpad, moving stuff around. It would cause wrist pain and it would just take time. And I was like, dude, this is so stupid. Why don't I just learn how to use the shortcuts on the keyboard? So then I don't have to keep on, going to the trackpad. And so now I only really use the trackpad, or try to only use the trackpad for stuff that I cannot do with the keyboard, which tends, I think, to be more like creative type of stuff. It's the way I'm thinking of it in my head, because like boring type of stuff that I can imagine a computer being able to write a script for, that stuff probably has keyboard shortcuts. So that was just a epiphany I had.
So I got another question for you.
Yeah.
I've heard of descriptive analytics, predictive, prescriptive, and recently I read an article about collaborative analytics. Are you familiar with it? Do you know what that entails? I haven't gotten into it in detail. I was just curious if you were aware of that.
I've never heard that term, but I try to intuit maybe what they mean by collaborative analytics. Because there's platforms now like Google Collaboratory or Databricks, where data scientists can work on the same notebook at the same time collaboratively. So if that's what is meant by that, then I think that's awesome. But let me look this up. Let me Google this real quick. Collaborative analytics. So yeah, I've never heard of this thing before.
Yeah, it just, I mean, within the last couple of weeks, I've read about it. So
it's essentially, it says it combines business intelligence software with some type of increase analytics team's knowledge. All right, so yeah, it just looks like it makes it easier to collaborate with maybe non data scientists or non super technical type of people on a project, which I think is great. We need more of that.
I agree.
Yeah. Do you need to learn it right now? Like, probably not. Just learn it kind of on the job when you need to, on demand. That's my theory for pretty much everything, is just master the basics, master the fundamentals, and learn new things on demand when you need to. Because if you have a solid foundation, solid fundamentals, then you can learn anything you need to. I think, like, I spend a lot of my time now, like, reading books that are related to the field, but not textbooks, right? So, for example, this book right here that I'm going through, The Book of Why by Judea Pearl, right? It's a book, it's a statistics books, but it's not like, a textbook that you would go through with like an online course or a class like that. But these type of books, I feel, give me a better intuition of the dry facts that I learned in school. Because in school, all throughout grad school, like, I learned a shit ton of formulas, and I learned how to do things with formulas, but I never really understood the history of some of the stuff that went behind there. So these books are really interesting for that purpose. This one, I'm interviewing the author for this one, Shape. Jordan Ellenberg also wrote How Not to Be Wrong, Power of Mathematical Thinking, New York Times bestseller. I haven't read through this yet. I'll probably start that later this week. But let's go to Joshua. So Joshua, if you got a question or anything, man, let me know. I saw he was unmuted very briefly. Or Renata, if Renata has a question. Joshua, go for it. I see you're unmuted, but I'm not able to hear you. All right. Renata, how are things going with you? I know you got a lot of advice and information last week. I'm wondering if you made any progress on those projects you're working on or trying to work on. All right. Does not seem like it. Looks like Renata's audio is failing. But yeah, let me know if anybody else has questions. Got just a few more minutes here, so I'm happy to stick around.
Just wanted to quickly follow up on what you were mentioning about, choose and learn on demand.
Yeah.
Similarly, I mean, that's technically what I do. And every day when you get requests, this probably relates to data science as well, is that I always evaluate whether that is something that's going to be a one-time thing, or is this something that's going to be a regular type of, whether it's a report or a summary or some sort of delivery. And given if it is something that I expect that's going to be coming again and again, then I will spend a lot of extra time to properly develop so I don't have to redo it again in the future. So I assume it's a similar thing with data science. You could probably do some very quick things to get a result, but on the other hand, you can probably, if you believe that this is something that's going to be used again, you will probably spend more time to prepare and properly design something so that it can be reused again.
Yeah, I like that approach. That's an excellent approach. Yeah, man. It's all about the master the basics, master the fundamentals. I hear this a lot from students that or mentees at data science dream job. They're just like, all right, well, I studied this and I studied this. I've studied machine learning. I've studied this algorithm, that algorithm. Which algorithm should I learn next? And it's like, well, how about stop studying algorithms and just try to use one of them for a change and compare them and see how that works. I think that's a much more fruitful effort. So it looks like Joshua's having network issues. Renat's having mic problems. But Auntie got a question here. Do you have one great book for learning statistics basics for a non-mathematician? I've been reading the comics you mentioned, but looking for a good book to read next. Yeah, I love the comic series, the cartoon guides. Those are some of my favorite books. But a good book for statistics basics for a non-mathematician. Naked Statistics by Charles Whelan. That's a great book. But I'm not sure if you want more that's like a textbook type of a book. Because I mean, realistically, every textbook type of book will have a bunch of math in it. So it is by design made for a mathematician.
Statistics for Dummies is an excellent starter statistics book, which is very high level, very easy to understand, and then you can go from there into deeper articles later.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, those 4 Dummies books are awesome. I love them. I've got a few of them sitting here. I got a few of those books. They break stuff down and make it easy to understand. So definitely, that's a good recommendation. If you're looking for more of a book that's just kind of a nonfiction book about statistics and how it's used, widely used in a bunch of different fields and domains, then I would recommend that Naked Statistics by Charles Whelan. That's a good one. Yeah, I got a bunch of other ones here, but How Not to Be Wrong. No, not How Not to Be Wrong. How to Measure Anything is actually a really good book by Douglas Hubbard. A lot of good stats in that book. Not really designed for mathematicians, more just for thinking business people. So I highly recommend that one as well. But if you're looking for more of a textbook type of thing, then yeah, definitely go for that 4 Dummies book. Right on. So hopefully everybody is doing well today. Wish you guys a very happy Mother's Day to all the mothers listening, to all of your guys's the mothers in your lives. Be hanging out with my wife and baby very soon, right after this. Hopefully you guys got a chance to check out the episode I released from my podcast just a couple of days ago with my friend Prachi Talker. those the interview I released. The office hours will be released a little bit later. I didn't get a chance to work on them yesterday due to my son's first birthday, so I'll edit and upload those a little bit later today. So if you guys are waiting for that, that'll be available. Got some great interviews coming up for you guys on the podcast in the very near future. Next week is actually with Dennis Rothman, I believe. Um, he's interesting guy. I think you guys will enjoy that conversation, man. I really enjoyed talking to him. He's a author for Pact, so he's written a bunch of books for Pact. The most recent of which is all about Transformers, which my friend Tom Ives is all about as well. But yeah, the episode will be released this Friday. Got a bunch of other interesting stuff coming up on the podcast, just to name a few episodes dropping in the coming weeks. I've got an episode releasing with Steve Norrie in a few weeks. I've got one with Ken G coming up in a few weeks here. And interview with Chase Caprio. Chase Caprio works for Impact Theory. So that's Tom Bilyeu's company, and I'm a huge Tom Bilyeu's fan. So that's a good one. I really enjoyed speaking with him. Interviewed Dave Gray, who wrote the book Liminal Thinking and a bunch of other books. So that was really fun interview as well. And then an interview with a philosopher, Jamie Woodhouse. We're talking about this philosophy he developed called sentientism, which should be interesting. Does not look like there are any other questions. Look, I stalled for as long as possible. So guys, thank you so much for spending part of your Sunday morning with me. Enjoyed having you here. If there's any last minute questions, now's the time. Kevin, any last minute questions?
No, just going to say
Awesome.
thanks.
Right on, Martin or Tor or anybody else. Awesome.
No, I'm fine.
Right on, man. Well, you guys take care. Have a good rest of the weekend. Remember, you've got one life on this planet. Why not try to do something big? Cheers, everyone.